This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service from the KFAB studio. Welcome. This is the only show in the metro area that talks about growth, development, real estate, construction, business expansion, all those fun things related to your favorite city becoming an even bigger, brighter, and more prosperous place. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. And without any further ado, it's time to bring on my co-host, a man who is absolutely legendary as a real estate deal maker in Nebraska, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Trenton. It's been a good week. The holiday season is always pretty fast-paced, and man, there's been a lot going on lately. This week has moved by quickly.
Almost another year in the can.
Yeah, if these years went by any quicker, I don't think we'd be able to keep up with them.
We must be getting older.
That's what they say. So good week and a lot happening, and we have a new restaurant review as part of our Grow Omaha Eats series with Sarah Baker Hansen. And this one's a little bit different because instead of doing a restaurant review, she did a summary of her top reviewed restaurants in 2022. Before we get to the details about it, however, you do need to know that our Grow Omaha Eats restaurant reviews are brought to you by Cheer Athletics. And Cheer Athletics is the nation's top all-star gym with 12 locations nationwide. The Omaha location is in the Papillion area near Highway 50 and 370.
They win a lot of awards.
They do, and they do so many good things for kids, and if you have kids or grandkids, good program for them to get involved with. So let's talk about this right now, some of the restaurants that Sarah reviewed. And she also in the article, and by the way, if you want to read this article for yourself, it's really easy. Just go to growomaha.com, and on the navigation bar, you will see the word EATS, EATS. Just click on that. You can see this review and every other review that Sarah has ever written for us right there. But this one, she goes back and talks about the top 5 restaurants that she reviewed in 2022.
There's only one I can't pronounce.
Which one's that?
The one I can't pronounce.
Okay. Well, you tell me when we get there.
The restaurant with the drunken noodles.
Oh, yeah, that one. I can't pronounce it either. At any rate, I'll take a stab at it in a moment. First of all, though, is Koji at Countryside Village, 8718 Pacific Street. I think a lot of people would agree with her that that's one of the top new restaurants of the year.
Definitely artistic, Japanese restaurant. I've been there twice. I think it's David Yoshitomo, if I'm pronouncing it right, who has a restaurant in the Benson area.
Appropriately named Yoshitomo.
Exactly. And we always love that, too.
Yeah, both of those are legendary. And Koji is, people just rave about it. It's extremely popular. And if you haven't tried it, you're going to want to get out there and do so. I think the next one might be the restaurant you have a hard time pronouncing. And I'm going to take a stab at it. Kao Niao.
Sounds good to me.
It is KHAO. NIAO. So I'm just going to guess.
Just like it sounds.
Kao Niao. Okay. It's at 15505 Ruggles Street. So that's basically 156, a little ways north of Maple. Porky Butts Barbecue and a Tanner Sports Bar is in that vicinity. But if you haven't given it a try, it is outstanding Thai food. Disclaimer, I've not been there yet, but I'm
looking forward to it.
So much feedback from it that I'm comfortable in saying that it's outstanding.
That's what's great about Sarah is that she gives you great ideas, and go check those articles out because it'll give you ideas. So many times you go to your top 3 or 4 restaurants just out of default, and there's so many great restaurants that need trying.
Well, and the nice thing about this article and all of her reviews is this. So many people say, hey, I've got guests coming in from out of town. Where should I take them? Or I have a client I want to impress for lunch or dinner. Where should I take them? This list is a good place to start because in addition to these 5, she also included 5 existing restaurants that are among her favorites. So we'll cover those too. But now we're on to number 3 on the list of her favorite reviewed restaurants of the year. And number 3 is Hacienda Real, which is a Mexican restaurant at 425 North 78th Street. That's on the corner. It's an in-bay of a long strip center at 78th and Cass. It's a Mexican restaurant out of Lincoln that is particularly strong in Mexican seafood.
It's a big space. I've been there once. I thought it was good. I need to try other things to give you my full opinion. The old Chicago space, the old Chicago space.
The former.
Have you been there?
I've been there 3 times for lunch. And I've only ordered traditional standard Mexican lunches. I need to go for dinner and get one of the seafood dishes.
There's a proliferation of different types of Mexican food in Omaha. For some reason, those restaurants are popping up.
Well, yeah, and we have a good collection of good ones, and a lot of the new ones have been kind of creative, and Hacienda Real is certainly one of those. Okay, number 4 is not really a restaurant. It's a cocktail bar. It's Anna's Place, 1802 Dodge. It's a speakeasy in the lower level of the relatively new Hotel Indigo, the Fontanelle building, as some people
18th and Dodge
would call it. Yeah, and this is one that she reviewed not too terribly long ago in the Grow Omaha newsletter.
That's a fun review to read.
I have not gone there yet.
I haven't been there, but the review, it's awesome. They make it kind of fun to get in. Yeah,
and to give you an idea of the power of Grow Omaha Eats, Jordan Esty, one of our brokers at NAINP Dodge, was telling me that he stopped by Anna's Place because he wanted to try it and get a cocktail there. And they have this deal where they have a green light or a red light on the door. If the green light is illuminated, you can go in. If the red light is illuminated, you have to wait till someone leaves because it's full. And when he got there, the red light was illuminated, and it took about 10 or 15 minutes. And he got in. He said it was well worth the wait. The cocktail and the atmosphere were great. But he was talking to some employee or the manager, the owner, or someone like that, and said, yeah, I want to try this because it was in the Grow Omaha newsletter. And he said, oh, yeah, ever since that came out, we have been swamped. So you're welcome, Anna's Place. Okay, the 5th and final one of the favorite reviewed restaurants of 2022 by Sarah Baker Hansen, Grow Omaha Eats columnist, is Virtuoso Pizzeria by David Lasole at 60th and Maple Street in Benson.
I think I had it when someone brought it to a party, but I'd like to go and dine there.
Absolutely. Love to go give that a try.
The old pizza shop space.
Okay, so that was the first half of the article this week. Then she says, I'm going to include 5 more places that she loved this year that she didn't review. She loved them. She went to them a lot, but she didn't necessarily review them. And one of them sounds like it's one of her all-time favorites, the famous La Bouvette, 511 South 11th Street in the Old Market.
We love going there when we sit out on the sidewalk or even inside. Sometimes there's a big wait, like Saturdays and Sundays, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's been that way for so many years. You could always count on it. It's very, very consistent. It's a beautiful place to just go walk around, and they even have retail merchandise like wine and things like that. Love that place. The Boiler Room came next, 1110 Jones Street. And she writes, for most people, the sign of an excellent meal is probably a photo of every dish on their phone. For me, it's the opposite. Often the food this year at the Boiler Room has been so good that I've completely forgotten to take a single photo.
I was there a number of times this year, and I'd say probably 4.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot. It's usually a special occasion type place.
Mm-hmm.
Great atmosphere. Who would think that an old boiler room, and you can either sit up and look down or sit down and look up at the steel structure and the pipes and things like that. And it's definitely an experience.
The next one is one we already kind of mentioned when we were talking about Koji, and that's Koji's sister restaurant, Yoshitomo, located at 6011 Maple Street in Benson. And then after that comes Dante, 16901 Wright Plaza.
Close to home. Nick Strawhecker does a wonderful job up there with his team, and we love it. We went to it. We didn't even know we were going to it. We wanted to go to Dante. We go in there, and it was set up differently, and all the tables were really nice. And it turned out it was a truffle dinner.
Oh, really?
And they weren't giving those truffles away, but
They tend not to.
But we ended up signing up, and we were not disappointed.
Yeah, every time I've ever been to Dante, it's just been outstanding. Food, drink, atmosphere, service, it's all really good. And I just love that whole little legacy area there because in addition to Dante, I go to Shucks quite a bit, which is, a couple doors there to the south. And then from time to time, I'll hit the Baby Blue Sushi, which is kind of in the other direction. I like that area, good dinner places. They even have Blatt is in that area, Blatt Beer and Table. I sometimes go there.
And then there's also Alice, which is a kind of a speakeasy, and it's a sister restaurant to Wicked Rabbit down at the Hotel Deco.
And Alice is below the Jams restaurant.
It's totally cool.
I love Alice. Yeah, I love. And actually, my wife Stephanie and I, a few times this summer and fall, we would sit out on that patio later in the evening at Jams. And that was a good place to have a cocktail later at night, when it was cooling down a little bit in the summer.
As long as we're talking about restaurants, Jeff, I want to take a minute just to remember Greg Cutshall, Cutshall Restaurant Management. His family's still running it along with their team. When he passed away earlier in the year, he had 44 restaurants, and he owned Jams, and he had 15 Domino's. He had Paradise Cafe, Mouth of the South.
I love Mouth of the South.
And that's just a few. He probably opened and closed some, but probably opened 150 restaurants in his lifetime. He used to be an old Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, but he was just a down-to-earth guy, a friend of a lot of people. And so we miss Greg Cutshall in the restaurant industry and the Omaha business community.
Yeah, and that's a nice tribute. And one last place is mentioned on the column, Single Double. It's a new burger place inside the new Camp Food Hall, 36th and Farnham Street. The Camp Food Hall is what replaced the Switch Food Hall, and Single Double is in there, and I've yet to try it, but she raves about it, says it's really, really good.
Excellent.
All right, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. They know mortgages like nobody else. They do an outstanding job with FHA, VA, and conventional loans, top-notch customer service. You can find them in person at 114th and Davenport or online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. First up on the docket, the Child Saving Institute announced that it is pursuing a $46 million capital campaign, coming along nicely, in order to build an expansion on their campus at Saddle Creek Road and Dodge Street. This will more than double their space, and Trenton just kind of is yet another construction project right there in that UNMC area.
It's amazing that they have room to expand because they had a major expansion within the last, 8 to 10 years, maybe not that long ago.
Yeah.
Child Savings Institute, what a great mission. And there's so many great charities that we're seeing with new buildings and targeting children and mental health and reaching out to the community. So kudos to Child Savings Institute.
Yeah, 130-year-old organization, emergency shelter services for kids, mental health services, education, many other programs as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. Construction is expected to begin next year. Will be a 2-year project. In that same area, we have a hotel at 44th and Douglas that's coming along nicely. It's a Hampton Inn, going to be 6 stories. Tower crane has been in place for a while, but they've now reached the second level of construction. And so that's going to be nice because obviously you need hotel space with the burgeoning med center nearby. But one of the things I think is kind of cool about that is that it's also going to just fill in that whole area. It fills in an empty block, and that whole area is becoming kind of urbanized. It's almost like its own little downtown there around the med center.
You think people walk around there?
Kind of. There's not a lot of retail or entertainment, but it's definitely kind of getting that urban feel. And then you think when Project Next happens just to the south, you're going to have so many people in that area. You might have to start seeing a little bit of more retail and service business pop up.
It'll attract it.
And then also right there in that area also, I just said also twice, but to the southwest corner of Farnham and Saddle Creek, we mentioned a week or two ago that an old Omaha Public Schools building has been demolished. That's where the UNMC Nebraska Medicine Administration Tower is going to go, and parking structure.
It'll be linked to a cap, or what
a lid, as they call it. Yeah,
the lid, grassy lid to cross Saddle Creek.
Yeah, so when you walk from this new admin tower over to the rest of the UNMC campus and the future Project Next complex, you'll walk over this lid, and it, as you said, Trenton, will have grass and patio space on it, but it'll be like a block or two wide, I believe.
It'd be cool if you could just look up and see like tree roots and things coming down and a bunch of dirt.
Like when you drive underneath it?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm sure that'll happen. All right. And there is your news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com or in person at 114th and Davenport. Going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, it's our end of the year show in which we talk about projects that have occurred over the last year or been announced over the last year that we think are of particular note. And we'll also maybe look a little bit ahead later in the show as to what could be coming down the pike in 2023. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
When it comes to concrete,
I can't use my internet to
UNMC, every time I go there, it's something new.
Isn't it nuts?
And I live there, so.
Absolutely crazy how fast that's just.
Not by choice, but you live there.
Yeah, pretty much just my second.
How the hell do you find your building? Like, there's so many buildings around
I'm
there.
in so many buildings.
Yeah, so do they give you a map finder, or do you?
I know them all by heart now, but yeah, because I've been like in the Buffett Center, I've been in the Leaf Transplant Center, Clarkson Tower, the Durham building. All
How many
over.
days have you spent there?
Total, I want to say like if I put all my stays back to back, probably around like 8 months total, like long. Not 8 months, sorry, 4 months.
We're glad
4 or
to have
5
you.
months, yeah. Like last summer alone, 3 months. Not 21.
That's Emily, ladies and gentlemen. Producer, board operator, wave.
Hi.
She's part of the hair color of the month club.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's true.
Hair color of the month club.
I can't join. No hair here.
We don't judge.
Working?
I think so.
Jeff's up.
Jeff's online. Jeff's online.
Oh, you're.
Makeup.
I did that here in the studio this morning, and I was like blind halfway doing it.
When you need results. If you want to experience the unmatched flavor of live fire grilling, then look no further than the Big Green Egg. Forget the pellets, the propane, the knockoffs. Roll with the best, an authentic Big Green Egg grill.
Boy, I need to polish my shoes. It's messy out there. I'm not going to show my shoe. You might have got a sneak peek, but it's embarrassing, ladies and gentlemen. I need some shoe phylactics.
Your door. Let your grilling adventure begin. Visit BigGreenEgg.com.
Galoshes.
Some things can wait.
Our generation doesn't use the word galoshes, Chris. Have you noticed that?
What do they use? Always next day delivery.
They don't use them. They don't use the name. They don't use the product. They just use boots or I don't know. I'm just not a fashionista. Chris Corey, ladies and gentlemen, behind the camera. He also is the main talent along with Jen Corey on the Grow Omaha website, Arbor Creative. They do a fantastic job with our social media, with our website, all around great people. Call Arbor Creative, mention that you heard it on the Grow Omaha Uncut, and you'll get $10 off your first initial contact, which they don't charge for anyway.
There you go. You'll get $10 off your first contract for $5,000.
So wait, does that mean I owe people money? They don't charge, and they get
And $100 off your first purchase of real estate, $1 million or more.
Study how the best guy who ever did it.
Well, I worked hard yesterday. Worked on selling a farm.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid at your service, broadcasting from the KFAB studio high above Underwood Avenue in beautiful Christmas-looking downtown Dundee. Happy holidays to you and your family. The show's brought to you by D&M Roofing and Siding, as well as Dingman's Collision Center. You know, Dingman's restores the safety to the vehicle using the manufactured recommended procedures after you have an accident. It's family owned, family operated, a local business that gives back to the community, very customer focused. And I tell you what, I think there are a lot of people going to be swinging by Dingman's after this weather over the last week.
With the man who runs Dingman's Collision Center, and that is Andy Dingman, good friend of ours in the show, and they really had a bang up year.
Kaboom.
Thank you.
He's here every week, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, let's go into the year that was. We've had a
2022.
The year that was. It was a good year for Grow Omaha projects. And so we're going to talk about a couple of the big ones that were announced. And I think you have to start with two that are big and related. The Mutual of Omaha headquarters skyscraper and the Omaha streetcar system. So, Trenton, you and I and our wives, Stephanie and Amy, were vacationing out of the country back in January when the announcement for the streetcar and the skyscraper hit the news, and our ladies were very irritated with us because we spent the rest of the day talking about downtown and buildings and streetcars and everything else.
And we got this incredibly warm feeling, and I'm not sure if it was because it was once in a generation or two skyscraper in Omaha, or we were in sunny Cabo San Lucas, Mexico.
One of the two. But I tell you, the Mutual Tower is going to be 677 feet tall, which will make it taller than the First National Tower, which is already the tallest building in a multi-state area, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, the Dakotas. So a very substantive building, about 44 stories. It'll house
$600 million.
A cool $600 million. Absolutely amazing price tag, but skyscrapers are expensive. You know, you for the same square footage, it's a lot cheaper to build one big flat building. So kudos to Mutual of Omaha for making a major commitment to the city by occupying that building.
And changing our skyline.
Have a big parking garage attached to it. It's going to be on the site of the former W. Dale Clark Library. I drove by yesterday to see how the demolition and all that was coming along. To me, it looks like it is done. There's no more equipment on the library site. It just graded dirt, and it looks like it's just done, waiting for groundbreaking.
They met their deadline.
We've heard that official groundbreaking will be in late January, but we've also been hearing that the real groundbreaking could happen as early as January 2nd. So a week from, what would that be, Tuesday, right after New Year's holiday.
Those construction workers are going to earn their keep.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a heck of a project. It's going to be a 3-year project. It will be, as construction nerds, or at least I'm a construction nerd, it'll be fun to watch it go up. Big tower crane. And obviously, it'll be interesting to see how long it is before it tops out.
We were young when First National Tower was built.
How do you define young?
Well, it's got to be 20.
I think it was completed in 02 or 03.
Okay.
So younger. Yeah, younger, I suppose. And then there's the streetcar. The city council approved the final $440 million bond a couple weeks ago. So that is full speed ahead, no pun intended. But it will run from about CHI Health Center Omaha along 10th Street down to Farnham. Then at Farnham, it will head west. It'll go through the rest of downtown, the Turner Park area, the Blackstone district, and then terminate right at 42nd and Farnham on the corner of the UNMC campus.
So I remember when you were working hard on a team and giving speeches about, probably 19 years ago or so, on this thing called the CenturyLink Center.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not comparing it, but there are a lot of public pulse articles. There's a lot of people that are like, why is Omaha doing this? We don't need this. And I was just there at the Creighton game, and it's been successful by all measures. And hopefully the streetcar, and I realize it's a different type of project, it's a transit project, but it's investing in our community, and it's free to the riders. And let's see how it goes. But I think we have to be positive, and it's happening. So let's give it the best shot, and let's support it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think the odds are pretty good that we're going to see very, very impressive collateral development within 3 or 4 blocks either side of the future streetcar line. In fact, a lot of projects are happening because the developers believe there's going to be a streetcar. They're anticipating the streetcar. One story or one project that is a cool story located right along the future streetcar line is a 9-story building in the Blackstone district. It is now very much under construction. The tower crane is in place. It's only going vertical below grade, which is where the parking structure is going to be. But that's going to be a nice mixed-use building, retail, public parking, a lot of apartments. And I think you're just going to see more and more of that. So instead of a little 3 to 5 story building here or there, along that streetcar line, I think you're going to start seeing more of like the 5 to 10 story buildings.
And that's the master plan is building up, not out. Think about how less taxing it'll be on infrastructure, police, fire, rescue, city services, and bring the population base back towards the core.
And, we keep hearing some rumors about some pretty impressive building projects that are planned closer to the riverfront along the streetcar line. So we're keeping our eye on those as well.
A lot of great rumors.
Yeah, a lot of cool rumors going around about some things. So I think that will be quite the catalyst and definitely will pay for itself. The Gene Leahy Mall opened after a couple years of renovation this summer, right around the 4th of July.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. What a great grand opening.
Big hit. I tell you, every time I have gone downtown since, there's always been activity there, even lately when it's been, well, maybe not the last 3 or 4 days, but even when it's kind of cold and chilly, you just see activity there. It's been a big success story so far.
And then Steelhouse Omaha, kind of by the Holland Center, what did I tell you, May 12th, was it?
Yep.
That's going to open after a couple of years of building. Thank you to Rodrigo Lopez, who oversaw that project for Omaha Performing Arts. And it's going to be, we got more competitive music venues, and so we got to bring more bands and more acts and more entertainment to Omaha.
Steelhouse Omaha, while still about 5 months from opening, looks fabulous on the outside. I mean, it looks a lot closer to opening than you might think because the outside looks awesome. I noticed that just this week when I was driving around in that area. So we got to take our middle of the show break for the news. But when we come back, we're still going to talk about a few other things that were significant in the Omaha growth and development discussion category during 2022. You're listening to the Grow Omaha Show. Jeff and Trenton at your service. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a few minutes on News Radio 1110 KFAB. So I thought for the Noddle one, we could also kind of do a little bit of your interview. I'll just throw out a couple things that have happened at Noddle.
That works. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, and then go from there. And I'm not going to leave a ton of time for the lightning round because I'm a little bit thin.
We can talk about. So I could say the rumor that big H&H campus. There's a very well respected charitable organization that feeds people.
Listen Saturday at 10 a.m. to Everyday Wealth with Soledad O'Brien and Gene Chatsky on KFAB.
A remote control for window coverings?
I'll put that as the last thing.
Window coverings have come a long
way.
And aren't just for hard-to-reach windows anymore. Hi, I'm Sally Vandenberg with Integrated Windows.
Thanks for the script.
Your smart choice for 100 unlimited
shades
and shutters.
I'm just going to print it and come blind.
That's a good idea. Yeah, it'll sound natural that way.
Yes.
You don't want to prepare.
Join us next week where I'm going to have Aaron Hansen on filling in for Jeff, who is the Douglas County Sheriff-elect. After a contentious race, the right man got the job, and it'll be fun discussion about the safety of Omaha, what kind of programs he has started and will implement in the coming years.
Facing malnutrition and even death.
So, Chris, what are you doing for your birthday today?
Going to lunch and then cooking dinner tonight.
For your birthday, you get to go cook dinner for your family.
Yeah, but I like cooking, so
It's kind of like a birthday present for you to
kinda
go to
is,
cook
yeah.
dinner.
Doing seafood chip, you know.
Nice.
Wow.
What do you make?
Seafood chipino.
Oh, that's-
Yeah.
I have that all the time.
What seafood?
We got calamari, shrimp, cod, mussels.
Wow.
Good.
Sounds really
Clams. We
good.
got clams too.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's become kind of a new tradition.
Yeah, that sounds really good, yeah.
And we pre-made pierogies, so we're having that too.
Pre-made what?
Pierogies.
All right, I'll be able to pick some up.
Pierogies?
Pierogies? You don't know what those are?
What are pierogies?
It's Italian.
It's fragile. It must be Italian.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's,
same.
I think it's like a ravioli, but a softer dough.
Oh,
And
okay.
inside you got usually cheese potato,
What was the Italian cookies that you made for us?
pignoli.
Pignoli. Pierogi, pignoli.
Pierogi, pignoli.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
You have to ask Jennifer.
Let's take tomorrow off.
Tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. You kind of got ripped off as a kid, though, having your birthday right before Christmas.
I really did.
Yeah.
I mean, now as an adult, I'm sure you're over it, but
I'm over it.
but seriously, as a kid, that'd be kind of rough.
It wasn't bad. My family was usually pretty good about it.
My poor grandpa's birthday was Christmas Eve as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, ugh.
Yeah. When your birthday is a Christmas Eve or Christmas, you kind of get a little overshadowed by the big guy's birthday.
Actually, for me, it wasn't great for like birthday parties that didn't have those as a kid.
Is that why your name Chris? Because Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it Christopher?
It's Christmas.
Christmas.
Christmas, Corey.
Christmas Corey. What's your middle name?
Michael.
Christmas Michael Corey.
That's right. Archangel Michael. I mean, that works.
Angel Michael Archangel.
Right.
Oh man.
Oh, this year. I'm thinking it went fast. I think
It went so fast.
it's so funny. Those people say, I can't wait to get this year over with. It's like, why? So you can start a new year?
Yeah, and do the same shit you did before. I mean, what's the difference, right?
Tell you about how that one went over so quickly.
Yeah. Everyone. I've never understood the excitement over New Year's. Hey, but seriously, why do people celebrate a New
I'll
Year's?
tell you, a couple days ago, the winter solstice, now that it's getting lighter, longer, that's the best thing about time moving forward.
Yeah.
When is the Congress or Senate going to pass the
daylight savings thing you're on? The only problem is that if you do that, there's going to be a period of time where, like, kids going to school are going to be in complete shrouded darkness, and you wonder about the safety issues, because believe it or not, even in 2022 with helicopter parenting, there's still a lot of kids that walk to school.
I'm trying to think of the comedian who passed away this year, Norm Macdonald. What he said about daylight savings times, he goes, I'll give it 6 months.
I do have to say, though, I hate standard time. I hate coming home from work and it's dark. And I just hate it. I want the light at night.
Oh, you feel like it's time to go to bed.
Yeah. I do have a little concern, though, for like little kids going to school in complete and total darkness if we go to year-round daylight savings time.
Don't they usually start at like 8?
Although if we do year-round daylight savings time, it'll be very dark at 8.
Seriously?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because think about what it's been like at 7 right now.
I still have to go spring forward, fall back.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, but that said, like I think the darkness might be obviously I hate the cold and you don't like gravel and all that on the streets from snow and all, but the darkness might be the worst thing about winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the darkness when you come home.
You just get so tired. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
And the barren trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the brown grass instead of green.
So a couple times a year, I like to give this public service announcement for those that are listening to the Uncut. The streets from Capitol to Leavenworth downtown are all in alphabetical order. Some people don't know that their entire lives, and that's the only way I can remember them. You get dependent on that, kind of like your phone. But the streets, ready, Jeff? Capitol, Dodge, Douglas,
Farnham,
Hardy, Howard,
Jackson,
Jones,
Leavenworth. And then there's one that keeps going, because then there's one that starts with P after that. Is it Pierce? Yeah, Pierce.
Not M Street.
Yeah. But then it ends, because then it's Pacific, and that's going backwards.
Yeah. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Share it with your friends.
Now, if you start a little further north on Davenport Street, your whole theory is screwed up. So it only works from Capitol to Pierce.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Now the question
Emily,
is,
did you know that?
was it done deliberately?
Were you listening, Emily? We lost Emily.
Oh, we're back.
First step in finding Nebraska's new chancellor is
Clear.
to study how the best guy who ever did it. It's the Rosie to Janoski on the podcast page under Jim Rose at KFAB.com.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid here. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. They are the top-notch roofing and siding company in Nebraska and Iowa.
I'll tell you what, at our family home, we had a roof leak in the attic, and even though it was 8 below zero, I called D&M Roofing, and they scheduled it right away. They came out. It's a pretty simple fix, but it's got to get a little bit warmer before they fix it. So their customer service is unbelievable, and I've used them for my whole roof replacement, and it was in and out in 2 days, and no problems, and it's been 3 years.
dnmroofing.com. That's dnmroofing.com. Well, we're talking about the year that was in Omaha growth and development and looking ahead at a few things, and that's the theme we're going to carry into our commercial real estate development spotlight today. It is brought to you by Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies is the premier real estate developer in the area, doing big-time projects like Exarban, River's Edge, Steel Ridge, the Village Point Medical Campus, Builders District, many more, and other things in other states. So we're going to talk about a few things this year that were significant at Noddle Companies projects. And one of those was, we're going to start at Exarban, and there were a couple of them at Exarban, but one of them at Exarban, these outdoor amenities really took off this year.
Expanding the dog park and all that.
Oh, yeah. So if you go to Exarban, on a nice autumn or summer night, you got people playing in those sand volleyball courts on the south side of the Interrail Food Hall. And then there's that big outdoor pavilion space on the north side of the HDR headquarters where you've got Sunny's, where they serve the food and drink out of the old Airstream camper.
Absolutely.
They got fire pits. You'll just be walking around and there's a fire pit where you can sit around a fire pit. They've got some turfed area, picnic tables. They have a little greenhouse you can sit in. It's a cool spot.
Well, and they added, a lot of people are coming back to work, and didn't they get Toast?
Yeah, Toast arrived at Exarban Village. They moved from the Twin Towers of the Central Park Plaza downtown to Exarban, 50,000 square feet. OPPD is leasing some space in the Blue Cross and Blue Shield building at Exarban Village. And so that was the first time in the development's history that all of the office space was 100% leased. So that's really encouraging. Also at Exarban Village, new concepts in the Interrail Food Hall. And I think and I think maybe my favorite is that Reagan's Lobster Roll. I love those things.
They don't give those away, but they're good.
Yeah, they don't. But lobster's not cheap. It's a special product.
That's true. I want to go to Steel Ridge. That Steel Ridge area, Highway 50, I-80, and Rotella's announced like 50 acres or whatever on Steel Ridge South in the Noddle development. And they're going to start with like a 200,000 square foot building. Yeah, and it looks to me like that might be getting pretty close to starting. When I was over in that area a couple weeks ago on a Grow Omaha tour, there was a lot of equipment on that spot. So I wouldn't be surprised if that Rotella's facility starts going vertical fairly soon. And H&H is getting their build out going. On Steel Ridge North. That's Steel Ridge North, on the north side. Yeah, for their car dealership. Cool. I want to see what retail Noddle gets on the front of that. Another Noddle project that started this year is the Builders District. Of course, right at the beginning of the year, the Kiewit World Headquarters opened at 15th and Mike Fahey. Now, just across the street to the south, work has now started this past fall on the 5-story mass timber office building that will be right south of the Kiewit headquarters. And one other project I want to highlight is the row homes at 38th and Dewey in the Blackstone area. Beautiful.
They look really, really cool. So it was a great year for Omaha Growth and Development, and Noddle Companies played a big part of that. You can learn more about Noddle Companies by going to noddlecompanies.com. Well, Trenton, we were talking about projects that were significant in the last year. We mentioned the Mutual of Omaha skyscraper, the streetcar, buildings in the Blackstone District, Jean Leahy Mall. A couple of other downtown area projects of note. The Mercantile is the north side of the ConAgra campus, and the Brickline apartment building is getting really close to being done. That building is 2 blocks long.
And that retail along 10th Street, it's going to be interesting to see what they go in there. I think Flagship Restaurant Group has committed to some restaurants there.
Yeah, it's our understanding that there will be 3 yet to be announced restaurant concepts from Flagship. Flagship is the company that has brands like Blue Sushi, Plank, Roja, several others.
But in several cities, too.
They have the same company that has Flagship Commons at the West Road. So we don't know. I don't believe we know what those restaurants are going to be yet. We're also hearing that there could be some other restaurants in that section as well. And then Millwork Commons is that development that's on the north side of North Downtown. The Ashton building anchors it, the Mastercraft building. Nice
apartments.
Yeah, that just opened this year, and that's also has some mixed-use space.
And the Dizzy Mule.
Yeah, that's coming along nicely, and then yet another project to the east of the Dizzy Mule. So some cool stuff in that area this year.
And that, not to mention the Luminarium.
Yeah,
Hewitt Luminarium is going to open in the spring.
That one, I tell you what, people will come from far and wide to visit that museum.
I think it's going to be ever changing, and that is, people talked about the Kansas City Science Museum, and this is going to blow it away. Yeah,
I can't wait to go through that thing this spring or summer when it actually opens. A couple other things that might be of note. We saw renderings for the planned mega library at 72nd and Dodge.
Oh, absolutely. That looks really cool.
So that will replace the Do Space, but it will be the City of Omaha's new flagship library directly south of the Crossroads. Like you said, love the artist rendering.
And I think was it 50 or 80 feet? I forget what it is, but it's this incredible book sorting where they go vertical and it's robotic and they can pull materials like any book within 2 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. I'm not sure if construction starts on that in 2023, but it might.
Well, and it'll be a few years before that opens.
Yeah, it's going to take a while because it's a big building. I'm not sure.
They've got the temporary space over at Frederick Square on 84th and Frederick.
I'm not sure if they're going to tear down Do Space or incorporate it. I suspect they'll just tear it all the way down.
That's what I'm guessing.
Okay. Well, right across the street to the north of that is Crossroads. And we're hopeful that we'll see some nice progress at Crossroads next year.
The infrastructure is going well by Lockwood Development, Century Development.
Yeah, in fact, over the last couple months, you see some work with infrastructure going on that site. And I think sometimes people get a little impatient thinking, I wish that would speed up. But we're talking about a $600 million project, and it's not easy, especially at a time when interest rates have been rising and construction workers and supplies have been in short supply.
Well, tenants are moving around. Office has kind of been in flux. We hear about new office buildings. We hear about tenants moving and things happening, but a lot of companies still aren't all the way back at their offices.
Yeah, so a lot of moving parts and pieces when it comes to development projects. And with that, we're going to take our final break of the hour. And when we come back, it'll be time for the Turner Construction Lightning Round. Looking, I've got a few cool things on the list that you definitely are going to want to hear about. Give you something to talk about when you meet with people at your Christmas Eve dinners and cocktail parties tonight. You're listening to Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing and Siding, and Turner Construction. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Oh, there's a shooting at Mall of America in Minnesota.
But that doesn't hurt Christmas sales at all.
That's not. Yeah, that's rough. Malls have such a go of it, and then you throw some crime in there, and it's tough.
It's a cool mall, though.
Yeah, I like Mall of America.
Yeah, you've been there once.
Yeah, I actually, I'm not a huge shopper guy, but I like just walking around Mall of America, looking at the storefronts, people watching. It's kind of fun.
It's huge.
huge, 3 stories, can kill a lot of time.
So for you die-hard Uncut listeners, if you're watching this, I strongly believe that the buyer of the H&H property on the northeast corner of 84th and L Street is going to be the food bank of the Heartland. I'm told they're going to keep their building on J Street, up the street, that backs up to L Street. So let's see if I'm right. But I'm not going to say Food Bank of the Midlands, or excuse me, Food Bank of the Heartland on live radio today. So you got to dig for it.
So it's kind of a Grow Omaha Cut watchers perk.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets this.
So the 5 people that are watching this, we are the most downloaded podcast on the cluster of stations, they tell us, known as iHeartRadio Omaha.
Yeah. iHeartRadio. There's people did like a little clip of people playing pickleball. It's amazing how popular that became so fast.
I saw that, like a tournament
Yeah.
the other day.
The professional teams like LeBron James owns a pickleball team.
Yeah.
I was like, what are they playing? I was like, that's not racquetball. What are they playing?
Yeah, I think some of the games get rapidly
It's a
competitive at
wiffle ball,
retirement
isn't it?
homes.
I haven't really seen it.
Yeah. Seriously, people of all ages can play.
I want to bring back shuffleboard, the official game of cruise ships and retirement
I like
homes.
shuffleboard.
Shuffleboard is awesome. I'm talking about the outside shuffleboard.
Just sign in and sound off.
And it's the lightning round brought to you by Turner Construction here on Grow Omaha, in which we talk about a few things really fast that you need to know. Thank you to Turner Construction for making it possible. You know, one of the biggest and most respected and effective construction companies in the whole world, but they have an office here in Omaha in which they act like a local contractor.
They've really grown in Omaha over the last year.
You know, it's fun to drive around and see Turner on all these sorts of small, medium, and big projects across the metro area. Of course, you know, they are doing the Sarpy County Data Center, which is what initially drew them to Omaha. That is, you know, basically a square mile of data center when it's all said and done. But thanks to Turner Construction for making this possible. All right, Trenton, here we go. Caniglia's Amano held a grand opening earlier this week for its new location at 72nd and Highway 370 in Papillion.
They used to be at the Prairie Queen Apartments, right?
Yeah, the actual address was 13178 Lincoln Road. But yeah, they were in that corner space and then moved recently. And I've yet to try that. I need to go and try that place, but it's a pizza and pub restaurant serving authentic Sicilian family recipes. And then Cup and Cone, C-U-P-and-C-O-N-E, Cup and Cone, Bennington, is a new coffee and ice cream shop. Plans to open pretty soon on 2nd Street in downtown Bennington. Now, next is a coffee shop at 72nd and Harrison Street. And it is called, I'm going to take a stab at this, Callejon del Café, Callejon del Café. It's supposed to be Coffee Alley.
They have callejones.
That's if you say so, but I don't know if they're going to back up what you claim. But this coffee shop will take over a 2,400 square foot fitness space. The opening date has not yet been announced.
I sold that building.
Is that called Place 72?
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember when you sold that building. And then Camp Concessions has opened in the Camp Blackstone Food Hall, 3618 Farnham Street. They joined Single Double. We talked about Single Double earlier in the show, the new burger joint. But Camp Concessions is the latest concept to open in the brand new Camp Food Hall in Blackstone. There are 2 more concepts that will be joining the food hall next year. I have not tried anything there, but I did pop my head in last week or a week before that. Looks pretty cool. It's a neat place.
I drove by there last night. The place is lit up.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely makes an impression when you see it. Ragstock, R-A-G-S-T-O-C-K, Ragstock has opened its first Nebraska store at Westroads Mall on the first level near Von Mar. This was founded in Minneapolis back in the 1950s. It's one of America's longest-running retailers of vintage and recycled clothing, but they have 42 locations in 10 states. So that's pretty big for a vintage
it's a good
retailer.
Get from, when's the last time you've been in the Westroads?
Within the last week, doing some Christmas shopping.
Okay, it's been a while for me.
I don't go there terribly. I don't go to malls terribly often, except for during Christmas shopping.
Does Orange Julius still exist there? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I used to love those things. Go Christmas shop. When I would go Christmas shopping as a kid with my mom or my aunts and uncles, grandparents, I always wanted it to be like twice as much Orange Julius or Bishop's buffet as shopping time.
They put raw egg in those, didn't they?
I think, well, I don't know, but I think you might be right. I think there may have been egg in there. I don't know if it was raw or not. I can't imagine it'd be like a cooked fried
Scramble,
egg. Yeah. So Trenton, we might have some activity. Oh, shoot. With that, the music's playing. So is that like a true, genuine, authentic broadcast tease? Guess you got to stay till next week to find out what we were going to say.
Absolutely.
Hope everyone has a great Christmas holiday. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Maggot.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing and Siding, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
You're still here? It's over.
Go home.
We don't have credits.
Go home.
Years by helping the vehicle owner retain the value
Roll
of
the
their
credits.
vehicle for them.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.